every mouth hurts.
Well, this is why you're the power play quarterback, Heck. Oh, look at that. And a Mexican Coke, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, it's great stuff.
It's game day. I'm going to a hockey game tonight, so I'm ready.
You went last night, didn't you?
No, I didn't go to Boston.
Oh, for some reason I thought that was in Philly. I'm sorry.
No, I was in Boston. But can you name the shirt I'm wearing today, Kevin? Come
on. No, I cannot. What is it?
This would be Harry Potter's cribbage shirt.
Oh yeah. Oh, my wife who's in the background said she could have done it.
Yeah, no. It's about the geekiest thing I own.
So
I spent $90 on it.
That's kind of saying a lot, Eloy. Heck.
I know. Wait, that is for me. That is saying a lot.
It's the geekiest thing I know.
Let me see what's going on with Russ. Russ will be joining us in a second. You okay? Invites out. We'll start without him if we have to. It's fine. He'll be joining us at some point. But I cannot speak well because, okay, this is what's happened. I think I've chipped a tooth in the back of my mouth, and what is going on is as I sleep, since I live in constant terror of everything, I'm grinding there's Russ. I'm grinding my teeth, I think, at night. But what's happening is since I think this soccer ball chipped a tooth in my mouth, my chipped tooth, which is really sharp, is digging a hole into my tongue. And I woke up today with a ring of blood on my pillow, which is a good feeling. So,
it sounds
yeah. So, like, either I'm dying or that's just the way I thought about the flames.
Is this a flimsy excuse for being late?
That's all right. You're loud, Russ. First day on the job, late.
I'm saying you. That's your flimsy excuse for being late.
Oh, that's mine. Oh, I'm sorry.
Russ, you're fired.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Quickest unemployment check ever. Yeah, so now when I talk, my tooth, every time I say a certain word, digs into my tongue and at a really sore spot. So that's why, even though I'm your quarterback today, I will probably not be speaking as much as normal and will be handing the ball off as much as possible.
All right.
Yeah, I have a problem talking.
Yeah, you don't know. We're gonna be all right. I'm gonna bring up the odds here.
Can you hear the drilling going on upstairs?
Over under 2, Russ, right?
Yep, I got him.
Awesome.
I got 3 overs and 2 unders.
Oh, I thought we had to have 5 and 5. No.
Oh, no, just 5 total.
Oh God. Okay, then we'll be okay. All right.
Yeah, it won't be as bad.
Okay.
It won't be as bad as we'd expect. All right, I'm almost there. We are live, guys. So if you don't say anything crazy.
The Leafs will win the Stanley Cup. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Boy, the one thing the Leafs have in common from that team a couple years ago is the second they tied that game up, they fell apart. Man, that was incredible.
I wonder about a team that you score a goal, you're down 3-2, you score a goal with a couple minutes left, and either it's a sign of immaturity or I don't know, but you would think that you would be at your sharpest right after you scored the tying goal, and they sort of just like. It was almost like they had a sigh of relief, and they just like, oh, we tied the game, and immediately Montreal comes down and almost takes the lead, like
3 or 4 times. They could have scored 3 times before they actually scored.
Right, and then the eventual game-winning goal was a fluke. I mean, it wasn't the kid's fault. It wasn't Percy's fault, but it was just, there's some serious things going on with that team that I don't understand.
Yeah, there's plenty of that. I agree with you completely. All right, we're just about there. Sorry, guys, almost ready. Okay. Okay.
By the way, can you hear the drilling going on upstairs?
I thought that was inside my head. Nope, we're good.
Okay, no, good. It seems that the person working on the bathroom upstairs for my in my apartment complex here is strategically timed to do it at either 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. So whenever we're doing a webcast, it's drill time.
That's fantastic.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I know. All right.
Something amidst distraction. That's all I can say.
Nothing better. All right, guys. So we're gonna start the show. I'll just bring up my thing. Okay, I'll start it. I can start this. We'll be good. Sorry, guys. One last second because I want to be all set. Otherwise, so if you can out there in the chat room, if you can name the game behind me today, in our video, in our story down history lane, our stroll down history lane. Man, I sound horrible. Our stroll down history lane, video hockey. This is one of the classics of all time. This is definitely this one you cannot top. You're a video game hockey guy, aren't you, Russ? A little bit.
Oh yeah, I recognize the game.
Cool.
I played it.
Cool. All right. Could you send me that again, Mike? Because I don't know where that list is. Just send it to me as we're here.
System
okay.
bottom list.
Oh, I got it. Never mind. I got it. Never mind.
Got it? Okay.
Got it. Just found it. I thought I buried it, but I found it. All right. Good. Awesome. All right. Ready? We're going to introduce. We'll go Mike, Kevin, and then I will introduce Russ.
Thursday, October 9th.
Damn straight. All right. Here we go. Hello, Hockey World. It is Thursday, October 9th, 2014.
I'm Michael Agello.
I'm Kevin Allen of USA Today Sports.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. I apologize for my speech today. I'm doing my best, but I have an injury, so I'm playing hurt. Anyway, Russ Cohen is joining us today. How are you doing, Russ?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Well, thanks. And not only is Russ joining us, but we are really excited today to announce that Russ Cohen has joined the Hockey Buzz team as our new New York Rangers beat writer. And, man, there are a few hirings, Russ, that make me more excited. I'm so thrilled that you're with us.
I appreciate it. It's a thrill for me, too. I love covering a team like that, and to be able to go through some of the day-to-day stuff. I won't post every hour, but, to go through the weekly stuff that they go through and sort of break it down, it'll be fun.
Absolutely. And Russ, you've actually written at least one book on the Rangers, right? You have one book on the Rangers, correct?
Yeah, one and one coming. So that's pretty good. 100 Things Ranger Fans Should Do Before They Die is coming, and I know that'll sound familiar to Kevin because he's got the Red Wings version.
I do, and I just got the Rangers book in the mail today, as a matter of fact. So I'm looking forward to looking through that. It's actually a good concept. I've done a lot of books, obviously, and I think I enjoyed this one as much as anything I've done.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's a really good one. I like that. I like the whole concept in general. And the other book is what's the other book for us, for everybody?
100 Ranger Greats.
What was that now?
100 Ranger Greats.
Right, 100 Ranger Greats, exactly. And a beautiful, beautiful coffee table book for your Ranger fan this holiday season. And we will actually put up a I'll put up a link to the book, to that book, and then we'll of course review and maybe have to give away some of the other books. So we'll have some fun with that at some point.
Awesome.
But let's move on. We had hockey last night, and oh my gosh, it's good to see. It was finally here. And the more things change, the more they stay the same. So up in Toronto, Mike, we're going to get into some hockey, and then we're going to go into some really fun stuff. As far as we're just going to talk briefly about the games, but give me your thoughts on the Toronto Montreal game from last night, Mike.
Well, as like you said, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The Maple Leafs, have a roster. Probably 50% of the roster is different from the team last year, but they, in general, made the same amount of defensive mistakes. They played a little better. I mean, they're a little deeper of a team. Their third and fourth lines were significantly better than they were last year. Actually, I thought their third line of Mike Santorelli, Leo Komarov, and David Clarkson was the best line of the night, but their top six really didn't play very well, especially Kessel, Bozak, and Van Riemsdyk. And if you look at the game, the top players for the Canadians, Pacioretty, Plekanec with 2 goals, Subban with a goal, they came to the forefront. They showed up. The top players for the Leafs didn't. It's one game, but I'm sure people in Toronto are a little concerned about the lack of any kind of significant change from some of the problems that they had last year. But again, it's one game.
I will give the Toronto Maple Leaf writers this much. The first article I read this morning was Brendan Shanahan came here looking for a change, and look at the mess he's gotten himself into. So, I mean, just take it from there. This is such a such a loving and caring environment. They lose by 1 goal to the Canadians, and now Brendan Shanahan already realizes he's made a huge mistake coming here. And I mean, they looked fine. It was a good game. It was an exciting game. I thought the early 2 games were way better than the later 2 games.
One thing quick, Ek.
Yeah.
When the Leafs were down 1-0, someone tweeted out, "Is Randy Carlyle fired yet?"
Yeah, well, there you go. That's typical.
Yeah.
Kevin, which of the two did you watch? Did you watch which of the games did you watch last night?
Yeah, no, I really thought the Boston-Philadelphia game was a terrific game. It was a good, especially for an early season game. I thought, it was almost had the feel of being, in the middle of the season, like everybody was into it. It was combative, to me, it just was indicative of why the Bruins are such a good team. Like, they're comfortable playing 2-1 games. I don't care if it's in April, or May, or October. Yeah. Claude Julien is a terrific coach, and they lost Claude. They lost Jerome McGinley, Sean Thornton, who I thought is a very good role player on that team, obviously, and and a good guy in the dressing room. And then they trade Johnny Boychuk, who I think that's going to put a little more pressure on Zdeno Chara, because I thought that he handled some of the load. Let's not forget that Chara's 38 years old.
Yeah.
So I think they'll miss Boychuk a little bit. But my observation last night watching that game is in Claude Julien's system, you can lose people of significance as the Bruins did. But he just has his players well schooled, and they go about and do their business, and that's what they did last night. It was a good hockey game, but you would expect if that game was played in the middle of the season, you expect the Bruins to win by a goal, and October they're still going to win by a goal. That's just the way it goes. So I thought it was a good game, and then I watched L.A. San Jose too, and that wasn't a very good game. It's talk about more of the same. We don't expect the Kings to play as well in the regular season as they do in the postseason, and they certainly didn't in their opening day. They raised the banner and then they laid an egg, I thought.
Yeah.
It was not a good game, and the expression on Sutter's face on the bench was priceless. It was just great. By the way, anybody who has a chance, go to TSN and see James Duffy's little video about up close and personal with Sutter. I think you'll come away with a different perspective on the guy. I know I did, and I've known him for a long time, so it's really a well-done piece.
That's awesome. Yeah. We have to check that out for sure. Russ, what are your thoughts?
I watched Flyers Bruins. I thought people were just looking into that game too much when they were saying, oh, it looks slow and this and that. I thought the guys looked fine. And honestly, if the Flyers were really that slow, wouldn't they have gotten blown out? I mean, that's the way I look at it. It was a fight over real estate. And I think at the end of the day, the Flyers' defense just couldn't hold off the Bruins anymore at the end of the game. I mean, it had to be Delzato, but it could have been anybody. And he was really doing his best as far as playing physical at the end there to try and keep the guys out of Mason's crease. But I noticed middle of third period, they couldn't do it. Like, guys were just getting in on Mason, and you knew it was going to happen. They're going to struggle on offense. There's no doubt about it. Until certain guys click or certain lines click, it's just going to be the way it is, and they're going to play tight games, and they're going to have to figure it out, but they're also going to have to get points out of their blue line. They really didn't get much out of the blue line last year. They need to get more points out of the blue line this year for sure.
Yeah, that hit me too. The Delzato-Luke Schenn combination is very scary on some levels. But at the same time, I thought, just as far as, the way they both play, Luke Schenn had a couple early season mistakes last night. Delzato, I thought, played pretty well. I agree with you there. I thought he did what you want from Delzato to do. That's what you want out of him. He moves the puck well. He moves up the ice well. He gets into the play. He's not going to be able to clear a guy out from in front of the net like that on the last goal. That's not going to be his specialty. So, that should be Luke Schenn in that situation. At that point, you'd want it to be at least. And
Couturier looked good too. That's another big bonus. If they start getting points out of Sean Couturier like Craig Berube hopes, that's a big plus for them because they didn't get a lot of offense out of him last year, and we heard some knuckleheads saying, oh, maybe he's never going to mount to anything, even though he's, 22?
Yeah.
But the thing is, he is going to get points. He has a big body. He's stronger now. He's already good on defense, and he's already good on faceoffs. So for me, that's the next evolution for him.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really be that upset with your team going into Boston on opening night and losing 2-1 at the end of the game. I mean, that's as far as I see it. The Flyers can look at a lot of things. We'll see how tonight goes with New Jersey, and if the Flyers come out looking bad tonight, that's a different story. But I actually thought they looked better than they looked at most of the time last year. I thought they had more energy, more times when they had better chances. Weird sounds. Are you guys okay?
Yeah, they look faster.
Trouble here in Ypsilanti, Michigan, but it's all
okay. No problem. It wasn't that boy
here in River City.
Was it? Did you see that commercial? The boy who says beep commercial in the middle of the intermission of the Kings LA game? or the LA Sharks game. The most disturbing commercial I've seen in a long time, and I've seen a lot of disturbing. I thought I was dreaming. I was so tired. I'm like, oh, wait a second. I didn't really just.
Was that like the one where he says beeping like the lights in all the city?
Yeah, it was like a trailer for AI 2 or something. It was completely.
Yeah, I saw it.
General Electric commercial. What about this is a good future, GE? What about this? This is a frightening future. Why would you put this forward? I'm just throwing that out there. Somebody made a lot of money deciding that commercial should be done, and then somebody decided it should be in the middle of the LA Kings San Jose Sharks game, and that is why we have good people in Hollywood. Just throwing that out there. But anyway, that's an aside.
I saw a little bit of the Calgary-Vancouver game last night, and I have to tell you, Calgary's going to have a real tough time this year because there's just not a lot of offense there. I mean, I thought Vancouver played pretty well. They got some They got a goal from Zach Kassian, who's not someone who normally scores goals. Verbata had a nice goal on a puck that he batted in, but it was underneath the crossbar. And Ryan Miller played, I thought, pretty decently. But Calgary, I mean, they'll be good defensively, but they're going to have real trouble scoring goals.
You know, I'll say this about Kassian, because I mentioned it the other night on a different show. When he got opportunity with the Sedins for that short window, he was able to put in goals. He is a physical player that can get around the net. It wouldn't shock me with more opportunity that he could get 15, 20 goals, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm with Russ. Well, you know, another theme last night I thought was goaltending was quite good. I thought, we didn't bring up Mason, and I thought that was probably the biggest plus for the Flyers is that Mason's picked up where he left off. Like, he was really big in the net. Like, you were watching that game on television, and I just thought, man, he squared every shooter. He's on top of his game, and the goal that when they got behind him, he couldn't be blamed for that one. It's you can't stop guys when they're behind you.
No, and I agree. And it's funny because at one point they said he stopped the shot that they said was going over the net anyway. But then when you realized it, I said to my daughter who's watching the game with me, he was on his knees when he stopped that shot that was going over the net.
yeah, that's right. And Niemi was good too, by the way. Niemi I thought was real good.
Yeah.
Last night, really the only goalie that I didn't think was sharp was Quick. Quick. Yeah. And Bernier let in a soft.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bernier was weak on the first goal. I mean, Dion Phaneuf gets burned by Pacioretty, but Pacioretty was on the goal line and he put it underneath Bernier's pads. And the other goals, maybe he didn't have great chances on, but he was not sharp. And I saw him play all 3 preseason games, and I know that preseason and regular season are different, but he was very sharp in the preseason and didn't look very much so last night.
Anybody else surprised that the NHL would let them lower the Stanley Cup from the sky?
I think you have to do what you have to do.
The only thing I've done plenty, and probably Russ has too, about the Cup, and the only thing they've told me that they will not allow the Cup is skydiving. They, you can't go into a strip club either. But
you can't go to a strip club either.
That's questionable because I think in '94 it did.
Yeah, sorry.
It has been to a strip club. It can't go anymore.
The Stanley Cup is a morals clause.
Yeah, exactly.
It should.
Yeah, no,
that's hilarious.
It used to go with the Oilers all the time to strip club.
Yeah, but I'm sure that Stanley Cup has seen things that it could write a hell of a book.
Yeah, it really could. But
which you actually did, Kevin. Didn't you write that book?
Yeah. No, I wrote the book called "Why Is the Stanley Cup in Mary Lemieux's Pool?"
Right. So
that's the book that I wrote. But
you should have read it as a first-person perspective from the Cup's point of view.
I think someone did write that book. I think it was Mike Ulmer wrote "If the Cup Could Talk." That's what he wrote. But I've spoken that the only request that the NHL Hall of Fame, or that the Hall of Fame has ever received that they declined was somebody wanted to skydive with the Cup, and they said no.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah.
No one should be skydiving anyway. So anyway, let's just throw it. It doesn't make any sense. To me, that's just pointless. My daughter went to skydive in the worst way, and I said, okay, let's talk about that. We did a long discussion about that. It scared the living crap out of her. She'll never skydive.
This game is giving out clues. It's telling me that Andy Moog is in goal. And
it is.
Don Sweeney's playing, and Adam Oates.
Troy Loney. I saw Troy Loney.
Yeah, there's that's so funny. Guy Hebert.
Yep.
Nice. Awesome. I think somebody in the chat room might have gotten it. If you didn't, if you just put it out there, I might have missed it in this confusion. Last thing I want to talk about last night's games that kind of was weird to me was referee cam. Okay, so I went now the referee cam was on Sportsnet and it was fine, and I liked the perspective of the referee. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that really struck me was the hands, like all the time coming into the picture, like this or pointing. And it was just kind of made it sound like to me it would be a great meme to do a video of this. So I actually did a short little video for you guys this morning. I'm surprising you with this. I actually put together a video this morning of what the referee cam would be like if I wore it in my everyday work. So here it is. I'm going to throw this up here. See, I haven't really looked at this very much, but I did actually put this together just minutes before the show. Here we go. All right, so this is me playing Asteroids. Point at things and wave your hands a lot. That's what I think. That's what I think the key to the referee cam is. You know, opening my Mexican Coke. You know, then trying to play with my dog and pointing at him. I was wearing my camera on my head. And you know, and finally, of course, you have to. You know, this is stop it there. Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted that's me. So the ref cam is the ref cam, but let's get into our main topic for today.
Well, let me just say one thing quickly. I mean, because I watched most of the Montreal-Toronto game, and they broke out all the newfangled cameras and the new angles and things like that, and they're using the sort of like a sky cam to go on a tether going back and forth.
Yeah.
Which I'm used to from watching it in football,
right.
But it's a little different in terms of the angle, in terms of, you know, you're so used to, at least I am, you're so used to that stationary camera going left and right, and this one is following along with the play. It's going to take a little getting used to, but I think it's clever, and you know, the guys at Sportsnet are trying to do everything they possibly can to make the game experience new and interesting.
I thought they were good for the most part. And I also like Bob McKenzie on NBC. I thought that was good, you know. And it occurred to me, I'm like, yeah, well, of course they would have brought Bob McKenzie onto NBC with TSN losing that deal. I don't know why I didn't think that would happen earlier, but because at first I was confused because NBC, of course, and Comcast is in direct competition with TSN and ABC.
Right. And look, NBC hires Canadians, so it's you know.
They hire Canadians, yeah. Maybe they should once in a while, yeah.
Apparently, it's not only McKenzie; it's Darren Drager as well. That's going to be part of the coverage. So,
I thought it was good. You know, I would like to see. I mean, Milbury and Bob McKenzie together is an interesting combination. Kind of struck me. I would like to see Keith Jones and Bob together. I think that'd be great. So what we're going to do today is we should
mention that you know, Mike Milbury came out against Fighting obviously yesterday, which is you know, that came on NBC. Actually sent me the audio of it. I think they thought that was a pretty big thing, and you know, probably is. I mean, you know, Milbury had 1,500 plus penalty minutes, 76 fights, went into a stand with his shoe to fight somebody, and now he's saying that maybe it's time to get rid of fighting. And you know, his logic is interesting. I mean, you know, basically what he said was, hey, well, we're talking about cutting down on concussions, and if you eliminate fighting and that saves a concussion, maybe that's the direction. Maybe it's time to go. So, I mean, I at least think that's certainly interesting, because I think Milbury would be viewed as a longtime advocate of fighting in the game.
I could see Milbury pulling a George Costanza when the shoe incident happened and sort of said, "Is that wrong? Was that wrong of me to do that?"
I love it. I mean, the fighting thing is always going to come up every year. And, I mean, last night there was a fight in the beginning of the Flyers-Bruins game, towards the beginning of the Flyers-Bruins game. I forget who it was, but just, you know, your totally weird fight of two guys fighting each other with visors, which is always hilarious. You know, I was saying there, that's a perfect idea, you know, to punch somebody with a visor. So when you have two of them fighting each other, you know, what happened to the good old days when they're not allowed to take their helmets off yet? Again, right, Russ? Is that true?
Yeah, that is true.
But somehow it'll happen.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to do an over-under game today with you guys in honor of the season starting and us being in the predicting mode still. and we haven't gotten to our awards, but we'll get to that at some point. We've got time on that one. Bovada is a really cool website that puts out a whole bunch of different kinds of odds for various things. Mike, why don't you explain this a little bit?
Well, they calculate. They're basically calculating the amount of points that a team will have for the year. Most of them, or all of them actually, are half points, so there's not going to be any pushes. So, for example, you have I'll pull up the list here. Anaheim, I think, was at 100 and 112. Yeah, Anaheim was 105.5 points. So obviously over is 106, under is 105. So they're calculating what they think that team will do through the entire 82 game schedule. And I have a few here that I think injuries and late preseason acquisitions make for pretty good bets in terms of an over/under.
Yeah. Now, one thing about these odds, correct me if I'm wrong. Kevin, you've dealt with Bovada before. You say they're great people over there.
Yeah, no, I've dealt with them before, just asking them for special odds for something I was doing, and they've tried to be accommodating on it.
That's awesome.
But I think for me, I just think this is just a fun exercise. Like I enjoy all their odds. In the summer, I think they've gotten a big push because of the people tuning into Twitter, because as soon as their Stanley Cup odds come out, I think we all look forward to splashing them all over to our Twitter followers, because it just sparks debate. When they come out, and a lot of it I think is based on history. I think they do look at the teams, but also I think Detroit is always high because they know a lot of people. There's a lot of fans of Detroit, and they're going to get a lot of action, obviously. So.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely that element of gambling, right? That you have to remember with odds all the time, because some teams, the Maple Leaf fans will always bet on the Maple Leafs. So if you put the Maple Leafs really low, you'd have issues. Okay, so, and that's true with every fan, not just the Maple Leaf fans. So let's go around the horn here, Mike. Actually, let's start with Kevin. Why don't you give us one of yours, and if any of us also have the same one, we can comment on it as well, and bring it in. Like, we'll do it that way. That sound good?
Well, yeah, my number one team in terms of a team that I believe is going to underperform based on Bovada would be, if I have this right, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but Pittsburgh is 105.5.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's 105.5.
I'm going to take the under on that. I think the Penguins, even though I think they're going to be better than people say they're going to be, I just think there's a lot of confusion in the ranks in the Metropolitan, as we've talked about before. There's a lot of teams that are going to be very comparable, and I think it's going to be a dogfight. And I just think the Penguins getting 105 or 100 is going to be difficult. So I see them as pushing toward 100, 101, but getting 105, I think I would take the under on that.
Yeah, I'm with you on the under. That's one of mine too. And not only, I put them in third place in my rankings, but I also do believe that the conference is going to be so close that I don't think you're going to have a team with that many points in the division in general. The division is going to be, I think you're going to have a lot of teams. Maybe the top team might be at 105, and the bottom team might be at 85. So I think it's going to be really close, and I don't think you're going to have a runaway situation where anybody's going to run up. Anybody else have Pittsburgh in this, or are we?
I have Pittsburgh with the under too. I just think with all their issues, they will get that 100 points, like Kev said. But 105 is just too much. 105.5 is too much.
Yep. Yeah. Is everyone as intrigued as I am about the words kind of come out that it could be Malkin on the right wing with Brandon Sutter as the number 2 center? I find, it makes me giggle. I'm kind of fascinated by that, so that'll be interesting to see.
It's a definite shocking move. If there ever was a center, a natural center, it's got to be Evgeny Malkin, right?
Yeah, but he's played a lot of wing, obviously, but with Crosby, part of that is Brandon Sutter. I guess the one thing I do like about it is, and I haven't seen anything with regard to watching a minute of the Penguins in the preseason, but I've heard that Sutter's had a great training camp, and this appears to be sort of a reward to him that he's maybe stepping up his game. So, I think with a new coach sort of establishing himself there in Pittsburgh, that it sort of makes sense. The guys who come in and are busting it for me, I'm going to reward them, and the reward for Sutter is suddenly he's got an all-world player.
That's not a bad reward.
Yeah, on his right wing, it's like hitting the lottery.
I'm not sure. I'm not so sure how long this experiment lasts. I mean, they may start the season with it, but I just can't. With a league that's so focused on being strong up the middle, when you got Crosby and Malkin, I mean, you have to put Crosby, Malkin, and Sutter 1, 2, 3. That's a distinct advantage and a mismatch for a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference. So I don't know how long it lasts.
You would think so.
I think they're just trying to free up Malkin and just take away some of the responsibility and see if that produces more points. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is also speaks to they're one winger short. I mean, we all know that, and now you move Sutter up to that center spot. Now you filled that wing. So they're going to see what they can do. This goes back to when you bring in a new coach. At the start we were all just plugging in Kunitz and Crosby and Dupuis, and a new coaches see things differently. That's the way Bosma saw it, and that's the way we started to think. But this guy's going to do things differently. So
I'm writing all these predictions down, Eck.
Good. There's a bit of an enigma about Malkin right now. He's always had some sort of sense of drama about his game, where he's going to be, when he's going to play, if he's going to be in, and everybody thought, there's no way he'll be ready for the first game, and here he is again. I love him. I have always said that I think Malkin, if you take every possibility, skating, shooting, passing, hitting, Malkin I think would be the top player in the league if you went right across and the fact that he can do combined all those things. He's maybe not as great at some things as Crosby is, but combined, and it's not since like Mark Messier, as in my mind, is somebody be able to do all those things that well. That's my opinion.
Too. He's got a temper.
He's got a temper too, right? So he's physical as well. I mean, you just go straight across. Russ, give me one of yours.
One of mine. All right, Minnesota under 98.5. I think with their goaltending issues, there's no way they're getting to that level. They could get to the playoffs. There's no way they're getting 98.5. No way.
Yeah, that's not a bad bet. I think they're going to struggle to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to be in. I mean, struggling is a bad word to use because they're a great team. They're just going to struggle because they're in such a friggin' great division. They're going to play well. They're just going to have a tough time with everybody else. But I think they're going to get.
That's not one of mine, but I'm supporting Russ on that.
Supporting Russ on that one.
There's a lot of logic in that.
No, there is. There definitely is. 100 points. I mean, yeah, that's good. Give me one of yours, Mike.
This one was an easy one. New York Islanders over 89.5. I think the additions of Boychuk and Leddy, Tavares coming back from the injury, Halak in goal. I think they're going to be over 90 points. I think they're going to make the playoffs, and if they're going to make the playoffs, they have to be over 90 points. So, all
right. First off, let me just say this: nothing with the Islanders is an easy one.
No.
I mean, there is no saying what the Islanders are going to be ever. I mean, predicting the Islanders is like, I don't know, predicting something that's very hard to predict. I can't think of metaphors right now, but yeah, it's. I mean, I'm going to go against you on that. I think I'm going to go under on the Islanders, and I know Islanders fans are getting crazy about the fact that I'm not on board yet, but I have been on board with them, and I guess I've just been kind of like the Sharks. I just don't want to do it again. So
Yeah, I was on the Islanders a couple of years ago and missed the boat. Or actually, the boat never left.
There was no boat, Kevin.
We never got going. But I'm completely with Mike on this. Like this is an impressive team, and even down farther, like Brock Nelson is a really good young player who is developing, and Ryan Strome is going to be a good player. Not only are they strong in their top six, but they have depth. They have guys who are going to step in and fill if guys get hurt. And their Achilles heel obviously was their defense. And now Johnny Boychuk is a significant two-way defender, and Leddy is a puck mover. This is I agree. I think they must have done these point projections before the Boychuk acquisition, because I'm all aboard. I'm on the Express. I've jumped on.
Did you pick that one? Did you pick that one, Kevin?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Well, Russ,
I didn't pick it, but I support it.
So.
you're on their side too.
I am, but I will say this: I think the Achilles heel of the Islanders will actually still be their scoring. I still don't know how much scoring they're really going to have, but we'll see. We'll see.
They're a team made on paper right now, and this is the thing about the Islanders. Garth Snow, they look good on paper. You look at down these players, and you go through their players one by one, but besides the series against the Penguins, when the Penguins really kind of collapsed, there hasn't been a time when I've seen this team really play up to what they should be on paper, and then last year was a great example of that. So I don't know. I don't see the character. I don't see the character there yet. I could be wrong. And I think Boychuk and Leddy are two offensive type defensemen. I don't think that helps them where they needed defensive help, even though they're talented to keep them there, and they give up a lot to get them. So there's some really odd choices being made in my mind. But I will stand alone.
Yes.
Against the Islanders. And I like the Islanders fans, so I feel bad about that. So, all right, I'm going to give you guys one now. And this is going to not surprise anybody, but I'm going over on Nashville, 82.5. I think that's a ridiculously low number for the Predators. This is a team that I think did better than that last year without Pekka Rinne and without Peter Laviolette and without, Chris Neal and Jokinen and another year out of, Seth Jones. I don't see how this team, I would be tempted to go over if they were 92.5. So here they are at 82.5, and I think that's a sucker bet if there ever was one to me. Anybody else with that one?
I have the Predators. Yeah.
They have old centers. I don't have them on my sheet, but they have old centers, and I don't like that.
You have old centers. That's true. I like Russ is like the old man. Get out of my yard, you old centers.
Yeah, I have the Predators on my list simply for the reasons you articulated. That their top three defensemen, Weber, Seth Jones, Yossi, they're going to play a lot of minutes, and Rennie is sharp again, and I think their scoring will be improved. I don't think they're going to be a dominant player, and I just think the point total was so low.
I didn't have them on my list, but I go along with everybody there. I think that's an over.
No, Russ is not there. Well, he's not there at all right now. He's physically not there, but he's not with us either.
He just had to drop off for a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, Kevin, give us another one.
I'm going to go. This might surprise you a little bit because I love this team. But it's just a lot of points, and it's a tough division, and that's the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't think they're going to get 111 points. I love the team, but that division is tough, and you're going to play a lot of good teams, and I think they're going to win the division, but I think they're going to win it with less than 111. And I just kind of decided to take that just for the fun of it, just for the fact that I love the team, but I think that's too many points. I just don't see them getting 112 when the competition's that good every night against St. Louis and Colorado and an improved Dallas team, and Minnesota's pretty good, and then the West just in general. So they're going to win the division. They may win the Cup, but they're not getting 111 points.
Not getting 111 points from you. Like Mike Richards is going to get 49 points, and they're not going to get there. And I'm going to
nice try.
Comment on this because I'm in that same division. I think the St. Louis Blues are not a 105-point team. I'm going to throw that out there too. I know what they did last year, but I am not thinking that we're going to get 105.5 points out of the Blues either in that division. I think that there could be a little bit of a step back, but more of a gearing up towards the playoffs type thing. And that's what you have to wonder about teams that like the Blues and Hawks. Are they they have to be thinking, man, we probably aren't going to make the playoffs, but we got to be ready for the playoffs. So it's a tough one. Russ, any comments on these?
No, but I'll go out in the Pacific and say I say there's no chance in hell that Vancouver gets 89.5. Definitely the under. There is no possibility in my mind that they can do that.
Well,
I'm right on the border.
Right, but Brian Miller's pretty good. So.
He is pretty good, but how good was he in St. Louis with a better team?
Yeah, no, I agree. But the Sedins seemed re-energized. I think there's the John Tortorella is gone factor. The witch is dead. Kind of stuff.
Flying monkeys, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. everybody seems pretty happy in Vancouver. So they're not a good team. I think they're a team that's in the sort of 6 through 9 or 10 in the West situation. If everything went well, they have enough talent that they could compete, but everything would have to go well.
Yeah, watching them last night, I wasn't ultra impressed with them, but in that game, it was hard to tell. I'm not a Verbata fan. I don't know. I mean, he makes good plays once in a while. He makes some nice plays, but overall, I am not a big Verbata fan, and I don't know if that's the. I mean, they've tried so many players on that wing with those guys. I mean, that was maybe one of the best empty net goals we'll ever see last night in that game. That was phenomenal. But so I'm kind of with you, Mike. What are your thoughts on Vancouver there?
I mean, I didn't pick them, but I think they're like right on the borderline there. I mean, I predicted them to finish 4th in the Pacific, behind San Jose. So if they're going to finish there, I think it's probably going to be in the high 80s or in the low 90s. So I think they're right around there. I wasn't comfortable enough to make that pick, but let me give you one of my picks, Zach.
Yeah.
I have, and I always like to take a team that is probably in the lower half of the league, when the number is lower than I think it should be. And with Luongo in Florida and the additions that they made and the young core players that they have, I'm picking Florida over 77.5.
Me too. I'm there.
You're there with that one too?
Yeah, it's just too low. I mean,
It's low.
the Panthers are not a playoff team, but 77's too low. Luongo's a .920 save percentage guy. When you compare his save percentage to what they had last season, and then you factor in, they've added in some, guys like Bolin and Jokinen. Their depth of scoring is greater. They don't have enough to make the playoffs, but they got enough to get more than 77 points.
Right.
That's a bet to try to get. That's a number to try to get old people in Miami to bet on this thing.
Because it's their age or what?
Yes.
Yeah, it's just they're too low. They're like, oh my god,
the cottage cheese session.
Hey, give me another one, Russ.
I'm going to give you my one bold over. The Caps over 88.5.
Washington.
I think when you add Evgeny Kuznetsov, who I think will win the Calder, I think that's adding a 55 to 60 point guy to an already decent lineup, and they've added some defense and a little grit. If they get just average NHL goaltending, they'll go over this number.
Wow. And when you're saying Kuznetsov is going to win the Calder, I listen, because if you guys don't know, Russ is one of the best prospect guys, in my opinion, on the planet, Russ. And for you to actually,
that's a big
bet highly of him, I'm impressed. I mean, Kevin, an interesting thing you said about him the other day that really stuck with me, that this is going to be, you think this is going to be an indictment on the KHL, on how well
referendum on the KHL.
Referendum, sorry.
Yeah, because Kuznetsov was a dominant KHL performer, and now he's coming over here. So, if they're as good as the Russians tell me they are, then he should, do exactly what Russ said. So it'll be interesting to see, how he performs.
What kind of player is he, Russ? Like, give us your quick scouting report on him.
He's a very physical guy. Like, he's a guy that's hard to knock off the puck. He's very fast, highly skilled, great twitch reflexes, where he's really extremely strong. I mean, he's not a kid anymore, and he's coming in here. He's got a great shot. He's got a great attitude. He's comfortable in North America. He's worked out all summer. Like, he literally told me he never left the ice. So he's not even a guy that took a week off. Right. And I just think you get him on the power play with Ovechkin, and you're going to see something pretty special.
I really want to see that. And I do think, talking to Chuck Gormley, who I really admire, that was one of the Caps beat writers who used to be here in Philly. And I asked him if he thought the Caps were going to make the playoffs. I think you were there when we had this discussion, Russ, at the rookie game. And he thinks they are. He said that I think they are going to make the playoffs. He said my opinion last year was that one of the Flyers or the Capitals would make the playoffs, and I feel the same about this year. One of the Capitals or the Flyers are going to make the playoffs, and he thinks this year is the Caps year. So, well, Chuck's not one for hyperbole, so he's been around that team a lot.
The Trotz will certainly make a difference. He'll just make the team more competitive. We tend to sort of pigeonhole him as a defensive coach, but what really is just a high compete coach. Like, his team he just makes them compete, and there's never any room on the ice when you're playing the Trotz team, and I think that that'll be the difference. But here we are already, and I thought I saw this right before I got on. I was on NHL.com, and I thought I saw Mike Green's already out with an injury. Did I read that right?
Yeah. Wow.
I didn't see it, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, I
Nobody
saw the headline. So
Yeah, that's rough. Wow.
Well, in that conversation, Ak, one of my third pick,
Yeah.
since you mentioned Philadelphia and Washington, I have the Flyers over 90.5. I think the Flyers are a playoff team. I think they're going to be in the top 3 in that division, and I think again 90.5 is a little bit low. If they're a top 3 in the division, then they're around probably 95 or 96. So I think the Flyers are going to be over.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I was surprised that when you look at the Flyers, there's 90.5, and Detroit at 91.5. To me, the Flyers are better than the Red Wings this year. That's just my opinion. But that could be, we'll see how it plays out. I think the Red Wings are a good team. I know Kevin and I could have a bet on that. You probably think the Red Wings are better than the Flyers this year, or might.
Well, I think they're comparable teams.
They are comparable teams for sure.
No,
but I
think the Red Wings are better than people think they are.
No, I do agree. They always are better than people think they are. So that's a safe bet too. That's how they sneak up on everyone. It's a good pick though. It's a good bet. It's a good pick there. And all right, I'm going to go with another one here, and I'm going to go with Calgary over 71.5. As bad as I thought Calgary was last night, I don't think they're a 71-point team. I mean, and I don't think they were even that bad. I mean, the one thing that was obvious because we were watching the Flames broadcast, I guess, was my gosh, the Johnny Gaudreau stuff. They really. I mean, I'm a big Johnny Gaudreau fan, and he comes from my hometown and in that around there, a couple miles from it. And but they are definitely putting a lot on this kid.
Yeah, they're selling it. They're selling it big time.
And he does literally look like someone you should pay to shovel your driveway. I mean, he is absolutely ridiculously young. He looks younger than
He's a smart kid though, and he's really fast.
Oh, he's really fast. He's really smart, and I love his competitiveness. I mean, but he's so tiny. It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, he's small. He makes guys like Patrick Kane look big.
Well, but the thing is, Calgary is going to sell Gaudreau big time because Bennett is probably going to be out for 3 to 4 months with his shoulder injury. So even when he comes back, he probably goes back to junior rather than play with the Flames. And you've got these young kids in Monahan and Gaudreau and a couple good defensemen in Brody and Giordano, and after that there's a lot of third and fourth line guys. So I think they're going to sell Gaudreau big time in Calgary.
Yeah, they have to, but I think 71 is. I mean, do they have them? Are they the lowest team, or is Buffalo lower than that?
Buffalo's lower. I think they're 65. Yeah, and that's pushing it.
That's pushing it, but 65, that is pretty low. I mean,
they're bad. I'm sorry, they're bad.
They're looking but there's a lot of Sabres fans. So think about this. The Buffalo number is always going to be inflated by the fact that there's a lot of Sabre fans. So that 65 number is inflated.
Now I'll give you one act that you'll probably disagree on because I believe you took them in the top 3 in their division.
Yeah.
But in the circumstance of the last couple weeks, I'm picking the Columbus Blue Jackets under 91.5. I think the injuries, especially early in the season, are going to kill them, especially Dubinsky, who they depend on a lot. So I think they're under.
No, I'm with you on. I'm not with you on that, but I mean the injuries are killing him. Horton injury looks worse than they first thought too. Mm-hmm. That's. I still think they're over. I think they show too much. They show too much bunk. They've got too much balance throughout their lineup in my mind for that. I don't know. Where are you, Russ, with that one?
I think I'd go the under. I think at the end of the day, I go the under.
Really? Wow. Kevin, are you under 91.5 with Columbus?
I think that's kind of right. They're going to be in that area, somewhere between 88 and 91, somewhere in there. But the injuries, I think, are significant. I mean, 6 weeks for Dubinsky. That's a tough one. I mean, I think, and the Horton one on top of that, and
Jenner.
And yet Johansson, you're just not sure where he's going to be now. Like the impact on training camp for a young player, you just don't know. So it'll be interesting to see how he performs, and it'll really come down to Bobrovsky. If Bobrovsky has a great season, then maybe they can overcome this. But these are significant injuries. I mean, you're talking about top line players here.
Yeah, they are.
Okay, I need one more out of Eck, one more out of Russ, and one more out of me, and then we
All right, we'll do a quick go around here because we're running out of time. Russ, give me one.
Last block. Carolina under 79.5. I feel good about that.
I feel good that Russ feels good.
Yes. Dallas over 96.5. I think that's low for Dallas a little bit. I think it's pretty close, but I think they're a 100-point team. Kevin?
Well, I've already given my 5, but I think 96 is about right for Dallas. I would have trouble taking the over. So.
Okay.
My final one, I pondered San Jose under 102.5. I think there's going to be about a 10-point gap in between Anaheim, LA, and San Jose. That puts San Jose right around there. And I want to root against the Sharks this year, so under 102.5. After they screwed me in my fantasy hockey pool last year, I'm rooting against them. Sorry, guys.
We all have been taken on a date with the Sharks and left hanging. So yeah, that's definitely.
Well, the one thing about the Sharks too, and all this discussion, and I just wrote a big story on it yesterday. Quoted Chris Barch about the lack of job security for tough guys these days. With all this going on, and Mike Milbury talking about it the other day, it's almost been forgotten that the only signing that the Sharks made in the offseason was getting John Scott to be their tough guy to compete with the LA Kings.
And he was scratched last night against the LA Kings.
Yeah. So, but he's in the stands in case anything breaks out.
Well, we know what the enforcers and tough players are going to be doing in terms of job security. They're going to be applying for the Department of Player Safety.
Yeah.
That's another discussion for another day. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, about the ethics of Chris Pronger getting a job at the NHL while still being paid by the Flyers. I want to know how they're going to work that one out.
That's tomorrow's topic.
That's tomorrow's topic. Russ, thank you. Kevin, thanks so much. I know you got to run. Russ, thank you so much for coming on board today, and also just a great article. Check out the article that Russ put up on Hockey Buzz, and
thank you.
It'll be fun.
All right, see you guys.
Going down tonight?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right, I will see you down there. Guys, remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. Talk to you soon.